I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. At Thursday's Senate Health Committee hearing, Senator Susan Collins spoke about her constituents who have been affected by the infant formula shortage. She pressed FDA Commissioner Robert Califf over why it took the FDA so long to start being public and transparent about the shortage. Listen into the commissioner's response.
Thank you. Doctor, like many of my colleagues, I've heard from desperate parents all over the state of Maine, particularly those that need specialty hypoallergenic formulas for their babies. One family from Sydney, Maine, for example, contacted my office after the mother had been spending 2 months making a round trip of 2 hours just to get formula for her baby from her baby's pediatric specialist. That's just not sustainable. Why wasn't there better communication with parents right from the beginning? Why did it take so long for FDA to start being public about this very serious problem?
Well, I guess my best answer to that is that as we were monitoring the supply up until about a month ago, there were issues, but they were manageable for the vast majority of people. And then things turned to empty shelves very quickly. And that's when we really wrapped up the public communication. There were concerns if there was a lot of public communication before that when things were manageable, that it would be understandable that families might purchase more than they needed to be safe, which, as I've already said, I'm not blaming them. That would be a normal response that we've seen in other areas with the pandemic. And so that's really basically the situation.
Well, I really think it would have been better if FDA had done what you said, which is put limits on how much could be purchased, but been more forthright with the parents who are really desperate. I want to follow up on press reports that indicate that the senior levels of FDA did not receive the alarming whistleblowers report due to, quote, mailroom issues. You blamed COVID-19 staffing issues for preventing FDA leadership from receiving direct copies of the whistleblower report, despite the fact that FDA's district office in Detroit received a hard copy from a confidential informant way back on October 26. Inexplicably, it took 4 months for that report to receive the attention and get to senior FDA leadership in mid-February. Let's look what happened. By that time, 1 infant had already died, 2 others were hospitalized, and the nationwide out-of-stock rate for infant formula had risen to 26%. I understand that the copy that was sent to then Acting Commissioner Janet Woodcock still has not been located to this day. What exactly do you mean by COVID staffing issues? Are you telling us that FDA still does not have people back to work in the mailing room and other portions of your agency?
Let me be clear about 2 things. The first is the hard copies of the document didn't get to the leaders that should have gotten it for the reasons that you just gave. But there was a second issue, which is the escalation procedures, because the people on the staff did get it, and they were dealing with it. And so there was not a procedure in place for them to inform the leaders who should have seen it, neither the center director nor the head of the Office of Policy and Response, nor the head of ORA. And so I dealt with this in hospitals and the quality systems where nurses were not reporting surgeons' errors, for example. We fixed it, and we've essentially had to do the same thing at the FDA. So I'm not blaming the mailroom, but there definitely are problems in the mailroom. This is not FDA staff. These are contractors hired by the FDA to handle the Federal Express
Well,
packages.
are those contract employees and are the 18,000 FDA employees back to work?
Yes, they've always been at work. The productivity of the FDA staff is higher than it's ever been.
But,
Remembering that
but are
most,
they back, excuse me for interrupting, but are they back to work at their offices, in the mailrooms? I'm not talking about remote work. Are they back to work?
for the jobs that require being on site, they're on site, like the mailroom being one example. But for many of it, remember, our inspectors are distributed all around the country. They're mostly on the road. And our reviewers are reviewing documents using computers. So they're actually very efficient doing what they're doing.
But we need everybody to be back to where they would have been working pre-pandemic.
Well, I look forward to discussing that with you later. I think, I came from Silicon Valley, where it's very clear that for many of these kinds of jobs, you're much more efficient working in a hybrid situation where you're in the office some, but also at your computer for a longer period of time.
Thank you.